Hello, hello, hello. Happy September. You're here. It's September 1st. And per the title of this video, it's like we're off to a very busy start. So I want to start as I usually do, kind of covering what's going on with the solar flares, what's going on with geomagnetic storms. And then I'm going to go into some of the astrological. And I have, well, four or five, depending on probably five, really fun tips for you. So hang in there and let's just go on this journey as to what we can expect here in the first week of September. Okay. So first, to sort of overview the solar flares, we've been hanging out yet again at these moderate to high C class, C4, C5, C9, C8, back and forth, back and forth. And then when it does tip into an M class, it is going to be in the M1 ones or M2s. Yes, or this morning, early around 6:30, 6:20, 6:30 Mountain Time, we had an M5. So something's rumbling. Something's been rumbling for a while, as we know. And then there was this, so that's what's going on with the flares. Then we had this random geomagnetic storm that sort of came out of nowhere. It really affected us. I have this curl here. Really affected us on August 30th. It was as if we were tracking the flares and nothing big was happening, but we were feeling unsettled, nauseous, having a lot of the energy waves that comes with a geomagnetic storm. So that storm was hanging out at a KP4 to a KP6. And on Facebook, I posted a couple of charts that show just how it was rumbling up and how it was giving us some auroras on Thursday night, Friday night, a little bit yesterday. I didn't stay up to watch it, but I have to tell you, it was pretty intense and pretty cool, right? So that's what's going on with the solar flares. It's been bumpy. There's been exhaustion. There's been lots of photons in the air, and there's been some anxiety coming out of nowhere. Now, part of that can be from the flares, as we know. The other part of it is that between today, September 1st, and tomorrow, September 2nd, we have two huge events that I want to make sure we spend enough time not only covering, but really addressing what we can do. Just a minute. I talk just fine until I get on camera, and then everything gets crazy, right? Probably because we're, as a collective, are sensing some of the high energy of what's going on. So let's start with Pluto. Pluto's a dwarf planet. It's a exterior planet. It's one of the smaller ones that we can view, but yet very, very powerful. It has a 240-year rotation around the Earth. So it goes very slow and it is very impactful. So it hangs out between 15 and 20 years in each sign, right? Pluto is life-altering, intense, transformative, and it represents death. So I thought what I would do is show you what death looks like, because this is also this is going to be the Thoth Crowley deck on death. Death is Pluto also represents Scorpio. So it's going to be deep into our subconscious. It's going to be way down into what lies below the surface. And Pluto is also the god of the underworld, right? So Pluto goes down to the very bottom. And what I like about this, I love this card for death because it isn't about dying. It's about dying to your old ways and releasing some of these anchors. So he's got this scythe, and as he's slicing it, he's putting bubbles of fresh air up. So this is how Thoth has interpreted, or Crowley with the Thoth deck has interpreted death. What I like is the way that the Osho Zen does is that you've got this sleeping character down here below, and you've got this transformation, sort of the phoenix coming out. So you're changing from one energy to another. You're letting go. You're being unburdened by very strict things that kept you stuck, right? Then you go over to the light seers, which is just magnificent. It's like cloaked underneath all of this, all of these layers of what we do to hide ourselves or to fit in. Is this radiant light, starlight coming through the trees. So this is how death is represented, death, rebirth, transformation in the cards. And that's what Pluto is, right? What else is there? So Pluto moves into Capricorn today. Now, Pluto's gone out into Aquarius March 23rd through July 11th, 2023. And I was like, oh my God, what I experienced between March and June in 2023. That's when I moved out of my house, put everything in storage, and went up and lived in a guide camp in a shed for 4 months while, taking care of the river rafting business. It was really fun and very different, right? Um, uh, June 20th until today. So if you go back to June 20th this year, it's like, what did you start to do that sort of became very Aquarian, very open, very rocking things a lot differently because the physical things you tried to take weren't working. It's like when you go on a walking tour in Europe and you bring a rolling suitcase and pretty soon you get there and you're like, "Oh, I can't drag this with me everywhere. I'm going to have to get something different that I can carry on my back because the cobblestones or the sidewalks are getting in and out of buses and whatnot is way too hard." Right? So it's sort of like something happened and then we went, "Oh no, this isn't working." Right? So we're back in Capricorn, in the physical sign of Capricorn until November 19th. So Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. And rather than go to the exact time in 2008, think 2007, 8, 9, 10, something in there started to really shift for you. And you were looking at what do I want to create? What did I start? What is it time to end now? What did I begin? For me, that's when I started looking at this admissions job that I was doing in an intense psychiatric hospital for adolescents and thinking I like working with parents more. So I started my coaching and focused on parents and then went into individuals. And I've been a coach since 2005. So, like to me, that's like, oh, some of this old structure of coaching, the way that it was set up, who I am, it needs to leave because it is outdated. It's no longer working, right? So Capricorn, let's go to the sign of Capricorn. I love Capricorn. Capricorn is represented always. Where is he? Where'd he go? There he is. As the devil, the goat, the sea goat, actually, right? So this is the Thoth deck. This is the Osho deck, and you've seen this card. I do this several times in this videos because it's what happens when we try to cover ourselves with things that will fit into our culture, so that we don't have to recognize how unique and different we are. And then when we go to the light seers, it's like temptation. It's like, come, let's go do something completely different than what you've been taught to do, right? From what you've been programmed, conditioned, what you were taught to do as a good girl or as a good member of society. The devil comes along and says, what if you want to break that? Right? And the devil says, "Well, of course you want to break that, right? You want to break away from all of this." And then there's these parts here of where you don't quite know because you don't know how to step out of something that's been very safe, even if it's been confining, right? Because it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to sort of move up through all of this and become who you are meant to be. So when we go to Capricorn, it's going to bring in the physical. I'm not going to go there yet. Capricorn is a cardinal modality. It's leadership. So when you have those modalities, which is, you've got Capricorn in the 10th house, you've got Cancer in the 4th house, right? And these two are both cardinals. One is in water, one is in earth. It's leadership, it's initiators, it's where passion resides, it's where catalysts are, it's where we have new growth. So we've been since 2008 in the physical sign of leadership and new growth and moving out of outdated things. But this Capricorn transit with Pluto is where we're going to really look at the physicality of Earth. We're going to look at something needs to end. It's time for a change. We're going to expose what's outdated. I can't wear these clothes anymore. I can't stay in this marriage anymore. I can't do this job anymore. I can't support this political party anymore. It doesn't really matter. It's like where all of our physicality, the things we grew up, the things we were used to are under a microscope, and we're going like, "Oh, I've been lugging shit around that doesn't work anymore," right? We are in the death and dying stage. So when Pluto goes back into when Pluto goes back into Capricorn after being out in something open, it's kind of like I went away to a college for a visit and I had a blast in March, and then I've got to go back into high school April, May, and June, and stay home in the summer. And I can like I've already had a taste of what freedom looks like, and now I've got to go back. So that's where we are because we're breaking down social and global paradigms, right? Within our own system, the things we can and can't do. Within the outer system, which is what's tolerable, what is it? Because Capricorn, I loved what Madrona Pulse just, or Irish J with a Madrona Pulse will always talk about that Capricorn's about boundaries. What am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? Right. And what I noticed is that this physical world that was under duress from 2008 till now is about how we validate each other, how we have this status of production. If you produce something, a house, a car, a salary, you have value in this world. There's the top 10, 25, 1%, right? Where there's a benefit of the few at the cost of the majority. And so this is what's under duress right now. And this is what we're feeling, whether it's in our own system or it's out in the bigger picture. What we're seeing is we're dying, right? I really like the way that these two work. We are cutting away what no longer serves us. We are releasing um, parts of ourselves that have been stuck in approval seeking, in family systems, in work expectations, in economy tracks that just keep going faster and faster forward and are harder to afford. This is where we are right now. And before we sort of I don't know. That's not doom and gloom to me. That's so exciting. It's so amazing to sort of have these things coming along and talking to us at this time, right? And then Amanda Lawrence, this sweet little, oh my gosh, she's just this angelic energy, comes in today and said, and she posts. When I got up this morning, it was an hour into her post, or she had just posted it. Today, September 1st, there's some sort of a energy shift. I can feel it. She said, it feels deep, which I love. This is going to the Scorpio, or right to the death. It's deep, it's penetrating, is the word she used, and it's new energy. So I'm going to put two other words on there. There's a seriousness, like I'm not messing around anymore. I'm here to start cutting away things. It's like right before you move, you put all the big things that you want to take, and then you're looking at all the crap that you're like, do I really want to take the rest of this stuff with me? This is where we are, serious, and we're present, right? So the second thing that's happening on September 2nd, tomorrow, is the new moon in Virgo, right? So again, it's at 5:55 Mountain Standard Time, which I loved the fives. And Virgo is another physical sign. So we have Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, which is a physical cardinal, and we have the new moon in Virgo, which is mutable. It's like, oh, I'm going to put some organization because it's opposite of Pisces, right? So it's like I'm going to put systems and organization, and I'm going to bring the physical forms into something that I can understand and work with because it it makes me feel better. So Virgos have a tendency always to worry. They have anxiety. They can get stuck in loss and grief. They can even be somewhat depressed or melancholy when they don't know what to do, when it's overwhelming. So we have this new moon coming in that's a bright, shining, deep, penetrating energy onto this organization and system. So how do we use the physical nurturing side of Virgo and say, hey, I just have to put some things in order right now because that's what's going to work for me. And to do it without the anxiety or the harder things that we have done before in the past, right? So our world is changing. Our internal world, our external world from the inside out is changing. So I have 5 tips for you that I want to go through. But before I do that, I have to have a conversation with you. I have to have a conversation with you about these videos, about what I've been doing, and to ask you to support me. I'm at a point where, as I'm bringing coaching to a close and broadening my perspectives, the cash flow has just been surprisingly low. And I am proud and I hide things. And I'm like, this is outdated. I have to ask. I have to ask for support. I have to say, hey, what can each of you do to help me out right now? I'm going to ask. So whether it's buy me a cup of coffee, come into the discussion class that I'm having on Tuesday, the 3rd at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can go to the link and sign up. I got 6 spots. Actually, I have 5 left because I already got one signed up. um, Book a tarot session with me, do some tarot independent classes, or just drop me a note and say, hey, what's your Venmo, Denise? Because this is the time when I have to say, I need support, financial support, I need help, and I need it this weekend. So if you can do something, help me out, that'd be awesome. Wow, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I was nervous all morning about this one. All right. Thank you. I have five tips for you. Wow. Big tips, okay? So the first one is that the energy is different. It's more focused. Use it. If this energy is different and it's removing outdated things, use it. Find out how to harness it, because we got a couple of doses of bigger energy in last year and from June on with Aquarius. So now we actually know what we want to do in the physical world to start eliminating things that don't work anymore. So, you can get out and start acting, supporting your community. You can start looking at the national politics. You can start looking at your own household. You could look at your own health, your own energy. Get out there, get going and do something with this energy, because it's supporting us. So you lighten your schedule, right? You remove some of your stuff, you toss out what's outdated, whether it's in your head, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your belief systems. So the energy is different. Use it. Number one. Number two, find the house where Capricorn and Aquarius meet. We get the 29 degrees of Capricorn and the first degrees of Aquarius. And that's the house that's going to be so big between now and November 14th or 19th. That's the house. So for mine, it's relationships. I need to be more clear in my relationships. I need to develop broader relationships. I need to look at the relationships that work and don't work, right? What house is it in? Right? This will tell you where to start, where to update, where to shift, where to redefine. Okay, so go into your chart and find out, all of that, where the intersection between those two and what house it's in. Number three, tap into the energy of the Virgo discernment. Use this Virgo, because Virgo's so beautifully systems thinking, detail oriented, organizational. Like, oh, I'm going to rank what I need to go after first, second, and third on the systems, on the organizations, and do it with that. Again, Virgo is opposite Pisces. Do it with the calmness of Pisces. Do it with the expansion of Pisces. Like, I have a great opportunity to go do something different, right? And how to remove, or even not necessarily remove first, but notice, where does your anxiety and worry come up? Where do you find your fears, right? Virgo, and then stand up to your internal self of empowerment. Pisces is like, hey, I'm doing something really different in this world. So go to your Virgo discernment, right? Have a rock solid boundaries about what you want to do, what you want to create, and how you're going to do it. Because we all know that when Virgos get going, or when our Virgo energy gets going, things happen and it's magic, right? So tap into that Virgo discernment. Number four, enjoy the physicality right now that's happening with Pluto coming back into Capricorn, and we're in Virgo season, and the new moon is in Virgo, right? So these are both earth signs, right? So, I had some, like, this is the most beautiful card that I love this card in the Osho Zen. Ordinariness. Get out, walk with your feet in the grass, be physical, enjoy the physical, find the parts of the physical world that you absolutely love, and bring day to day calmness, peace, trust, because you're leaving this sign soon and we're going into air. Pluto's going into Aquarius. And then after Virgo, we go into Libra. So we're going into something. And this is your opportunity to create a new physical perception for yourself, perspective, perception, belief system, practice in the physical, right? Spaciousness and balance as you go forward. Okay. And number 5, have compassion, because the physical world we live in is changing. It's becoming so outdated. Our beliefs, our systems, our institutions, and we're all stepping away in different places. So, compassion to yourself, compassion to each other, compassion for the world. And if you feel like being generous and helping me out, there's links down below. And I will see you Tuesday if you join the discussion class, and next Sunday. If not, you take care. Thank you.